Gas masks and hand grenades.
Well. Welcome to Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Jeff. This guy to my left, one of these directions here, is Gus Pynn from Sacrifice. He's pissed. I'm pissed. We're all pissed. But anyways, let's just get the show on the road. How about it, right? My apologies, sir. That was a little stressful. I have to say I've had one or two other weird instances. I was on a transatlantic thing with Richard Barbieri from Porcupine Tree, who's an old buddy of mine.
Wow.
And this whole thing was, they're old friends of mine. I used to do a lot of work for the band. And we just kept getting this echo, and we could not figure it out. And he had an old Mac, and literally he's like, Jeff, you don't pay me enough for this shit. You know that, right? I'm like, hey, man, we can call it quits if you want. So I apologize for the blood pressure raise there, because I was feeling it along with you. But
listen, Jeff, it's an absolute pleasure to be on your show. I'm sorry that things got a little crazy. We're still a little frozen here in the Great White North. We had a little bit of warm air the last couple of days, but apparently we're going right back into the shitter over the next 2-3 days. So it's part of
man.
If you know what I'm saying.
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm about an hour and 20 minutes northwest of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you guys probably had a fucking shit one this year too, right?
It's been cold as fuck, but I'll tell you what, it was 65 degrees today, man.
I know.
I woke up because I had the heat on for like sub 20s, and my room was a fucking oven. I was literally drenched. I was like, holy shit, I'm dying. What's going on here?
I know.
Anyways, man, welcome to the show. Very sorry that we had all that stress, but glad to have you here, Gus.
Thanks, man.
It was funny listening to you flip out in Canadian. I enjoyed that quite. I didn't enjoy it as much as you enjoyed it, but I kind of enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. So listen, man, you guys got a new album out. Sacrifice has a new album, the first album in over 15 years, called Volume 6. It is on Cursed Blessings.
Yes.
Cursed Blessings. I kept trying to remember it, and I'm like, it ain't working here. My old brain was not connecting. So I also saw it's on High Roller. I guess that's over in Europe.
Yeah,
right?
they're pretty much handling the rest of the distribution around the world outside of North America. So yeah, Al's got
okay, all right.
Al and Cursed Blessings got it in North America, and then High Roller have it everywhere else.
Okay, very cool. I'm gonna pull up a little cheat sheet here for. Just give me 1 minute here. I have to cheat since I'm an old man.
Okay,
and I'll pull that card a couple times. Yes, we are. I think you might have me by a year or two. I turned 59 in March.
Oh no, you're older than I. I'm
older than you are.
57 last year, so this is so as soon as the new year rolls in, by the time November comes around, I'm 58, and I'm the baby in the band. So the guys are going to be
you're the young cat.
They're going to scratch 60 before me. So I guess I'm going to have to kick that ball around for a little bit while those guys roll in it for at least probably 8 months.
Well, my apologies for making you older than
me.
No,
don't worry about that. I'm kind of used to it. It's all good.
I kind of assume a lot of the early 80s bands that all those guys are a year or 2 or 3, like the Metallica dudes. They're all 63, 64.
Yeah,
they're all just
they're probably about 7 years ahead of us.
Right. When Kill 'Em All came out, I think I was 15. So they'd have been like 20, 21, 22. So they're all just in that slightly older category. And I have a lot of buddies that are in a lot of the San Francisco thrash bands like Craigslist Cicero and Beer Horse and a whole bunch of dudes that, Asagata and all those dudes. And they're all just either a little bit older than me or a little bit younger than me. So I'm kind of in that sweet spot of just fucking old. That's what it is.
We're that fucking great range now that you don't give a shit, and that wall's coming soon.
Yeah, I'm close enough. I can smell the AARP card, which is scary, man. So Hey, well, tell me a little bit about this album. Now, he came out on Friday, actually, right?
Yes.
And so 15 years plus, and actually that was following on the footsteps of your kind of comeback album from 2009, which was called, I have to look it up. I'm sorry, The Ones I Condemn.
Correct.
How? Tell me the thought process coming into making an album at this stage in your career, because as you and I both know that, the albums don't sell a whole lot these days. I mean, at least they do if you're a niche band that people love, and I think you're one of those niche kind of, I hate the word, use the L word, but you're kind of a legacy thrash band, especially in the in the context of Canadian thrash.
Yes.
You're in there with Annihilator and Voivod. You guys all kind of started in around that same time, right? Um, what was the thought process? Well, first of all, why the long wait? Okay, obviously COVID, we can scratch that couple of years out, but why the long wait? And what was the thinking going into this as far as, well, do we even bother to do that? Do we just do a single here and a single there? You get my question?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, for the first 7 years after Condemned, there was we drew blanks. We had no ideas. We got together. We played a lot. I mean, we had a lot of shows come our way, and we continued to practice, continue to get together, and just nothing came about until probably 2017, and we had probably about 3 new songs at that point. We had Comatose, Underneath Millennia, and Missile. So those 3 songs for probably like 3 years, I guess. We kind of hung on to those songs, kind of banter around. We were thinking, probably in 2020 or something, we'd go in and record maybe an EP or something, and just put that stuff out. We had he had done also a single in around 2020, which was World War V. So we released that probably just after the pandemic was. I wouldn't say it probably had its height, but yeah, everything was in shutdown and shit was fluxing here, so we could barely jam,
Right.
stuff like that. So up to that point, it was possibly doing an EP, and that was the mindset. Once we got past the pandemic in 21, 22, we wrote a couple songs, and the EP went from 3 songs to maybe 5. And then by the time we got into the end of 22, beginning of 23, he had written probably another 3-4 songs, and I was like, well, this is pleasant, man. We're getting closer to a fucking full album, and I was like, all right, then let's see what the summer of 23 brings, and then we'll plan some studio time and go in and record it. Did we plan to? I'd say we had 7, 8, 9 songs, and then a couple of them just came to us. I mean, we worked on "We Will Not Survive" for about half a year. I personally didn't think it was gonna make it to the album, and we recorded it. It came out fucking great, so we kept it. And I think "Antidote to Poison" was probably the first time we had an idea all demoed, and then I'm telling you now, Jeff, 3 fucking hours on the last day of our session, and we wrote that one. That was probably the most surprising thing for myself. That
you said Comatose.
Yeah, Comatose was all done. All that stuff was done. Antidote to Poison was pretty much the last afternoon we were at phase 1.
Okay.
It was pretty much just a pure demo that he had tracked himself. I love the song, and I said, okay, let's do something with that one. He goes, okay. We started jamming it. It sounded fucking really good in the studio, so we got about, I don't know, 2 hours into it. We all scrapped it and said, fuck it, not even record it or didn't finish it. And Darius went, hang on, whoa, hang on a second. I hear something here. I want you guys, they turned the fucking mics off. They left me in the fucking room. And they talked for a minute. He goes, Gus, come in. We're going to have some lunch, have something to eat. And then I want you guys to finish the song. And that was the emphasis of that fucking tune. and we did the cover not long after that, and then we closed off the session. You know what I'm saying, Jeff? And that was the whole thing. And at that point, we had Volume 6 fucking done and solidified. At that point, I was
Where,
just
if I,
yeah. Go ahead.
Gus, if I could interrupt for a sec, where did you track at?
Oh, we did in Scarborough, Ontario, at a studio called Phase One Studios. It was the original studio we had done Soldiers of Misfortune at, but there were two different locations. This one was closer to Scarborough Town Center, which is probably about, I'd say, if in proximity to where it was originally, probably about half an hour, 40 minutes away difference, and still the same board, just a different room and different layout compared to what I remember it before. Still all the same Dynamite records and all the bands that had played there before, just like us, and we were lucky enough to go in. I loved the place. I loved everything about it. There was something about that weekend that was just, man, flawless. You know what I'm saying? We walked in, everything was just set up. The whole recording. I never felt like we had a click or a problem. I sat down, man. We put the drums in, mic'd them. He put it through the board. I played everything for probably about an hour. He never bitched once about any of the tom sounds. Nothing, man.
Nice.
I tuned everything up as just prior to going in, and that day, and we put one fucking gel moon on my 10-inch tom, and the rest of the kit was free of anything, man. Perfectly tuned. I couldn't believe it. And I think of that, and I've gone through at that point 4 albums of working with those guys, and there was always something, you know, and any one of those demo sessions or recording sessions where there was always something fucked up on my drum set. This time, nothing. Not one fucking not one problem, man. And I thought to myself, shit, am I fucking dreaming this stuff or what? And then we recorded the whole thing, and over the 4 days, every day we had about 3 songs to do, and they all clicked off. You just focus on the song at that moment and the performance. You kind of forget about it until everything gets put in the can and then gets all put together and mixed, and then they give it to you and they say, "What do you think?" And like, honestly, I was fucking shocked at how good this album sounded at the end result of last summer.
I was just gonna say the mix on here is great. It's super punchy. It sounds very raw. It sounds very like you're in the studio, almost like you're catching this shit live. The guitar tones are really savage. I don't know, I'm probably talking to the wrong guy as far as getting, because I'm a guitar nerd. So does Rob and Joe do the writing predominantly, or is it one guy? Or how's that work out?
Since it's just been like these last 2 albums, because Joe lives in Detroit, Scott lives in Vancouver, so the primary writing becomes him and I's personal love and want. So we give those guys the base of all these tracks, and all they do is come in. Joe just primarily plays leads this time, and Watts plays just bass, and Rob does all the rhythms for this record and the last one, and I'm the primary drummer, so I just sit in and do what I do, and yeah, man, it's been like that since we got back together again.
Who was the producer?
Oh, the Darius. Well,
engineer.
Rob is the primary producer of the last album and this one.
Who engineered?
Darius was the one who engineered this one.
Okay. It's just there's a lot of separation here. It's very punchy. Look, it's not complex. You guys aren't doing Dream Theater shit, and that's not a slight on you. I'm just saying there's not tons of layering. There's just a lot of really straight up, vicious, savage guitar riffs, really good solos.
Yep.
I have to tell you, I'm gonna come clean. So I've known about your Sacrifice for, I'm a metal dude. I go all the way back into the late, 70s, early 80s with, of course, Venom and Merciful Fate and all those bands that just traversing the early 80s. And I had known about your band forever. And here, the first time I actually heard you guys was at MDF. You played MDF last year.
Yes.
And here's the funny story. So you were playing the same day that good friends of mine were headlining that night. Agalock, the guys in Agalock,
Yes.
they're buddies of mine. And so they invited me over to dinner. I was out watching, I think I just watched Aura Noir. No, it wasn't Aura Noir. It might have been, I can't remember who it was, but it was someone that same night. And John Halm, who's the main dude in Agalock, or one of the main dudes, he's the main writer. He's like, we were inside, and he's like, fuck, we're missing Sacrifice. And I'm like, I have known that band name for like 30 years, and it's just one of those ones that skip by. Don't feel bad because the only real Canadian thrash band that I really was into very early on was Voivod. And they were more, by the time I got into them, it was Dimension Hatros, Nothing Face, and I kind of went backwards.
Yeah.
So Exciter, knew about them because they were always in Kerrang. Annihilator, knew about them, of course, but I never really listened to them. So it's kind of funny that when this came up, I'm like, I need to check this band out. So I'm being straight up with you. This is kind of a new thing for me, but I'm not like a new dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been around, I've been in the trenches. I got to see Metallica back on, Master of Puppets, and I saw them open for Ozzy actually. So there you go. That goes.
Oh fuck yeah! That's I go back to Master of Puppets just after Cliff passed. I missed the Ride the Lightning show I just here in Toronto. I was standing outside freezing my balls off -20, and on my walk back from that show, I was given a ticket to go see Sacrifice at the end of March in '85. That's how I found out with those guys.
And that's how you got into the band then?
Yeah, all I did was I went to see them play live. They had another drummer playing for them.
Right.
I was a fucking nobody at that time. But certain guys in my high school knew I played. I was probably one of the first guys in Toronto that fucking was into Metallica, Slayer, that could actually play brass drums. So my name got around, and then they found out about me, gave me a call, and I went up and tried it. Thus, the relationship in May of '85, right?
Awesome, man. Were you so back in the day, let's go back just a little bit and then we'll come back to the album a minute. Were you guys in the early years, maybe on the first two albums, did you guys do a lot of touring? Were you able to get over to Europe where you probably had a bigger following maybe than you did here in the States perhaps, or no?
No, I say 85, 86, 87. Most of that stuff was done here in Canada. We used to do runs into Buffalo, into the States. We did Midwest, Chicago way. Never got it down to New York. That was always planned in like 88, 89. We had something come up and it got canceled and we never played the show. So at that point, I'd never played New York City, never played LA. But anybody that's seen us, like, for instance, like the guys in Cannibal Corpse, like Paul, George, those guys had seen us play in Buffalo and Rochester in those early 80 days. So that's where those guys found out about us, fell in love with us. And as years have gone by, and as I've known them, and they've been good friends of mine, they fondly talk about when we used to come into Buffalo and New York and play for those guys then, and how they fell in love with the band. And I was lucky for that. So yeah, our first few years, it was mostly just Ontario. We go across Canada a couple times in the 80s, about 3 times. Never got to Europe. Never flew to Japan. Never got into LA, South States, Texas, stuff like that. That came after I left. Yeah. So, and then now, over the last 20 years, we managed to touch these places that we hadn't been to previous to.
So, okay, so yeah, because I was going to say, I could have swore that you've been over to Europe now in more recent times, right?
Yeah. We were there at 13 or 12. and then we
Okay.
went back last year and played in Belgium for Alcatraz, and that was
Oh,
our
you
second
played
time back
Alcatraz.
to Europe.
Oh, nice. Where did you play in 13?
We played at Keep It True in
That's what I was going
South
to say. I
Germany.
thought I
Yeah.
saw that.
So we played that,
Yeah, I thought it was true.
and we've been to Japan twice. Played for Mickey at True Thrash Fest in Osaka. We played. That was there. We did 2 nights each time, so we played 4 times in Japan, and
Wow.
yeah. So,
Nice.
but we've never played in, for instance, Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still yearn to go to play in Tokyo. I still yearn to play LA.
I bet.
I've never played New York City, which is fucking pissed off, and
Wow, how
that
about
is
that?
like that's a want for me. Even some of the guys I've talked to, I talked to a guy in Boston. I've never played there before, so
I'm sort
between
of
me and
surprised.
you, hey,
I'm sort of surprised that when you came down for MDF, you weren't able to maybe hook up a 4 or 5 date sort of thing. Like for example, Gus, Coroner's coming over and they're doing Hell's Heroes here in a couple weeks. They're doing a pretty extensive, smaller club tour. I got tickets to see them on the 5th and the 6th in Baltimore and Philly, and they're only playing like 150, 250, 200, size clubs.
yeah.
But it seems like that no one ever reached out and said, "Hey, could we
Well,
put something together?"
to be honest, Jeff, for us,
Or do you guys have real
yeah, like
jobs and
because the band's always been just that, it's been a part-time
part
job.
time?
Yeah,
Okay,
we've kind of picked and choose where we want to play, and for us,
I
it's
got you.
always playing places we haven't played before. So
Yeah,
I always thought, man, let's do the new record, let's put it out, let's see what kind of buzz it generates. If it gets us more shows or gets us longer runs and more interest, in because I mean everybody is, do they want to pay you? Do they want to bring you in? Have you got anything new? It's all the same old fucking questions. So we're
yeah.
like, in order to fit into that, like we're still a retro band, so it's easy to play MDF and do it twice and
True.
play to everybody and do an old school set. Now we want to play the new stuff, and I want to
Sure.
mix it in and present it to everybody. What kind of a buzz is it going to create? I'm hoping it creates a better buzz for us, and I want the young guys to hopefully, especially the young school guys, to latch onto it and embrace this new record, and hopefully brings us a new audience. You know what I'm saying, Jeff? Between me and you, it's like having you hear us for, after knowing us all this time, and then you heard the album, you're like probably thinking, holy fuck, man, where are
Yeah,
these guys,
I got to
man?
go back and grab some of the old
Yeah,
albums.
and you
I
probably
feel
went
kind
back
of,
and check out the catalog again and said, fuck yeah.
but
And you
you
remember
know
names
how it
and
is,
bits and
man.
pieces, right?
You know how it is. Being our age,
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've been around a long time, and there's a fuck ton of bands that we missed or heard of, never got around. A good example of that.
Exactly.
Good example of that. Out of Seattle, a band called Heir Apparent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know them.
I don't
Terry, I just had
but
Terry on. Dude, they were around before. Essentially, they were around at the same time that Fates Warning and Queensryche. They were a little after Queensryche's EP, but they were there. Like their first album came out the same year that the Warning did, and it's like I knew about this band, I just never got around to it until a year ago, and I'm like, oh my god, like how the fuck did I miss this band?
Yeah.
And I had Terry on for 3.5 hours. He gave me the nuts and bolts soup and the whole, from stem to stern, he gave me the whole story.
Yeah.
Like I usually talk a lot in my interviews, too much sometimes people say.
Well,
But I didn't even have
it's
to
all
say
about
anything.
fucking conversation, which is what you're having
Oh
with
yeah,
me now, right?
yeah.
You're discovering about the record, and we're rehashing about where we've been, what we've done. I mean, over
The
the
old
last
days,
20
for
years,
sure.
ever since the reunion in 06, our main focus has always been playing together. If the new stuff comes, great. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna kill myself, worrying about everything. But I mean,
There's
I'm
the
so
new
fucking
album
happy
artwork,
about
by
the
the way.
record that I'm pleased as punch that everybody is, listen to the shit out of it right now, and the reviews basically are like, it's like 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10. So
Yeah,
8 out of 10
it's a
guys,
great
9
album.
out of 10 guys love it, or everybody loves it. So I'll take that
It's
for
a
what
great
it's worth,
album,
baby.
man. You guys should be proud of it.
Oh,
There's the
fucking,
artwork right
this
there, and I
is
believe this
this is
artwork was
fucking,
done by a buddy of
this
yours.
is a huge badge of honor for me, for sure, man.
Tell me a little bit about the artwork.
Todd Kowalski, bass player for
Hang
Papa
on.
Gandhi. He
Okay.
we had him do the single for when we did the Rush Anthem cover, and they did the Corrosion of Conformity cover back in 2010, I believe it was. So Rob asked him again, I guess this time last year, and he fucking jumped all over it after he sent them a copy of the album. I guess maybe in May, probably April or May, I think. He had a copy of it. Sat down, listened to the whole thing. Rob sent them all the lyrics, all the song titles, and he fucking loved it, man. So his mind basically took all that information, and then he drew that. When I see
Yeah, it's
that, I was like, "Fuck, is that perfect or what, man?" And
pretty
then he threw
wicked,
the
man.
logo up on top of it, and I was like, "Shit, man."
Yeah, I love your
think
logo,
people are gonna
man.
fucking shit themselves when they see this.
Yeah,
Not
I love the
everybody's,
logo.
people are saying, you guys kind of cheesed out on the fucking album title and shit. But I'm like Rob, man. I didn't want to name it after a song or a concept because it'll, and then they'll just pigeonhole one song, and that's all I
Right.
want to focus on. I wanted people to focus on our 6th record, which is, I was more than pleased to take that title and say, okay, we'll run with that for sure. And it's been great. I love it.
Did I hear you mention Rush and Anthem?
Yeah, we did a cover of Anthem
No.
back in 2010, I believe. So
Oh shit.
there should be on our Spotify page. There should be a cover that's kicking around there somewhere.
Oh man, I gotta hear that.
Yeah,
That's my
you can check
favorite
that
band.
single out for sure. Yeah, we did
Rush is
that.
my all-time
That's
favorite
now
band.
15 years old now. We were lucky enough that we sent a letter to them asking if we could include it on our album. They were pleased as punch, man. They sent us back then. It was just email. So when I got an email back in 2010 or something saying that, look, Geddy Lee and Rush themselves have approved your your release of this song, I was like,
Nice.
you kidding me, man? So you're saying Geddy Lee or Alex Lifeson have heard this song and they know who we
That's
are?
killer.
And I'm telling you, Jeff, I was out of my fucking mind, man.
Well, I am Rush is my favorite band of all time.
Absolutely.
Will always be until I die.
Till
They'll be
I
my
die.
favorite band. I'll show you something real fast here that's kind of cool. Let me pull it up here. Never mind the short hair.
Yeah,
But
man.
right there I am
Yeah.
right there I am with Dirk and Lurks, man. I
That's
tell you,
fucking fantastic.
I was shaking in my boots, but I
bet
knew
you
somebody.
were.
I knew their. I had met through my porcupine tree connections. I had met their security guy,
Yeah.
and so he got me backstage. And I'll never forget. I was talking to my buddy on the phone. I'm like, dude, I think I'm either gonna shit or pass out. I'm gonna shit my pants or pass out. I'm like freaking out because that guy right there, Mr. Lifeson, is the reason
man.
he's the reason I picked up a guitar.
Oh, yeah.
100%. So him and Ace Frehley. So hey, getting back to the album real quick, there's a song on here that really jumps out at me. And because it's not as thrashy as the rest of the songs. Can you guess which one I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this song.
All right. It's my favorite song on the album.
No, man. Serious.
Yeah. Now, which one do you think I'm
You're talking about Black Sheesh.
Yeah, that song fucking cool as hell. I love the way it builds. It's doomy. It's grindy. It's got not grindcore, but grindy as in like
I know
it's
what
just
you're
got this
talking about. It's
dark.
got got all that chunk shit that you love in Black Sabbath. We spit out
Yes.
all that fucking old school chug along and fucking yeah. You know what? I'll tell you right now. I've been saying this since they've been asking me about this song, and the guys that love it. That one is a personal one that me and Rob fell in love with. He gave me the demo of that song. I'd say it's got to be almost 10 years now. I fell in love with it, Jeff. I'm telling you, man, I fell in love with it the moment he gave it to me. I said, dude.
But he didn't want to do lyrics? No,
lyrics? It was strictly an instrumental when he gave it to me. And it's just like Raven's vocals. Like, all that stuff was just computer generated. The whole fucking song. Drums, everything.
Oh, really?
So when Rob gives me demos of songs, basically he computer generates everything and then gives it to me. And he goes, I said, how do you fucking program me in a song? He goes, that's just me about you, man. He goes, I know what you do before you do it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. And then that's why I say about everybody. I said, well, that's fucking chemistry, right? And we've always had that. But yeah, that song has always been a personal thing for him and I. And we fell in love with it, man. I mean, I fell in love with it. As soon as he gave me the demo, I said, Rob, this fucking song is, people are going to shit, man, when they fucking hear us play this song. They're going to be like, it doesn't match anything you guys do. That's the fucking
really
point, man. That wasn't the reason why we wrote it and fucking put it out. It's just, it just gives us that fucking, like, that layer of shit that we've always been able to do, hear, play, you know. So all those Rush albums, all that Black Sabbath, we jammed it all into 6 minutes, man. And we said, here we go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the longest track on the album, but man, it doesn't get boring. It's just got this. It's got this undulating. It's kind of like an undulating feel to it. It kind of is like a snake. You know what I mean? Like moving. It's just got that vibe to it. Very, very cool. Antidote, I think, is the first track you guys. That was the first single, right?
Yes.
And that's the video, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, we did the first lyric video for that one, which was my first time ever going through that. You know, usually if you're doing a video, it's usually you're sitting down playing your shit and playing along with, you know, your stuff, and then you put it out. When I seen some of the lyric videos that had been already done previous to, and the people that they had sent samples of some of the stuff they had done, I was like, yeah, I think we could possibly fucking do something here that might be attractive and keep everybody interested. And then it went around as to what songs we pick off of this album to do for lyric videos. Of course, none of us could walk away from Antidote. That one, just for whatever reason, we all loved it right out of the get-go. It's just one of those songs that kicks you in the ass until we give you a nice dose of thrash for 60 seconds or so, and then we end the songs. So
yeah, for sure.
I love that shit.
It's look, it's a crisp production. The mix is really great on it. Everything's really sonically where it needs to be. I have to say, having not heard you guys before, I really dig Rob's vocals because they're kind of unique for the genre. They're kind of the only guy I would say that I kind of draw a little comparison to, if I had to, would be Miller from Creator. That's probably the closest I get.
Yeah,
but not exactly.
Yeah, guys, the pick between him or Schmear. And
Schmear, I was going to say Schmear too. Yeah,
too, from fucking Destruction.
Yeah.
They
so my question about that.
For sure.
I had a question about that then. So when you go back to 83, 84, 85, in that the incubus of the band, not incubus. What's the word I was looking for? The beginning of the band. I tried to get tricky there and use the wrong word. What kind of stuff were you guys listening to that kind of helped inform the direction of the band? What was the stuff from the 70s maybe, and then into the more, was it, I tend to think maybe Venom probably had a little bit to do with it, maybe a little bit of Motorhead, those early influences. Yeah. But what other things do you recall that were big for you?
For me, I was big into, I was listening to a lot of Rush, 81, 82, 83, 84. Anthrax came into my earlobes in 84. I already had Show No Mercy, already had that then. I had even Haunting the Chapel at that time. And so all these new thrash sounds were coming at me like fucking. I'll tell you right now, Ride the Lightning was epic for me. That between him, Lombardo, even Rob Reiner, and I was listening to Metal on Metal. Like that was some local stuff that I was able to get here. All that shit was just spinning around in my head. I had all that Rush influence in me, lots of Zeppelin influence in me. Endless 70s rock and roll, like all those,
that's our era, dude.
Yeah,
that's where we grew up.
All that shit that we grew up with, like all that stuff was just mixing around in me, and then
yes, King Crimson,
all that stuff,
Genesis, all the
Deep
prog,
Purple,
and then
fucking you name it, Black Sabbath,
and then you get
the fucking Point Blank, you name it, man. All that shit was
hell
coming at me, Fast and Furious, Triumph. Especially on this side of the border,
Triumph.
Kim Mitchell and Max Webster and shit. That stuff was coming at me like crazy, man. You know,
fucking Max Webster.
All that shit's ingrained. So, Jeff, after all these fucking years, I go see all these bands, all that stuff that's fueled me all these years, and I marvel at how good those fucking guys can still play and still be relevant and vibrant at this golden age that we're at. And I thought, man, those guys can be that good at this age.
Yeah.
I said I still have a few years left. So.
Oh yeah, you got a couple years left for sure,
I still got some time left in these old bones.
I mean, fuck that. You know, Rolling Stones are still doing it at 80 and 81. Now I know they're not as complex, but they're great music.
I marvel that Keith's still alive and Mick can still.
That's the biggest mystery. That's the biggest mystery. I'll wrap up here real shortly, but I was going to tell you when you were talking about Rush. So I've seen Rush 56 times over my life.
Fantastic.
I went to multiple dates, every tour. Except for I had one period. My first show was Kiss, 1979.
Wow.
I lived in Houston. I saw him for the Dynasty tour.
Wow.
And what's crazy about that is my show in Houston. The show before that, which was like a week before, they had a week in between. Judas Priest doing Hellbent for Leather was opening for Kiss, and I missed it because I was one date off. But my second show, Gus, Rush on the Permanent Waves tour with Max Webster opening.
Yes. Now they were probably playing fucking Jacob's Ladder, Natural Science.
They played all that stuff.
Yes, they played everything off that record, right?
They played the full 2112 with the exception of they didn't play Soliloquy. Now I've seen them since where they did the whole thing. But what's crazy about this is that's the first night I smoked weed. I decided to get high at a Rush concert. It was, needless to say, it was pretty intense. I do remember being like, oh my God. And the worst part, and it was just like a magical moment. But I was leaving the thing, and a bunch of my buddies in school, had given me money to get T-shirts. Now, T-shirts back then were like $5 for a T-shirt, and maybe $7 for a jersey. I mean, it was like $7. I think the ticket was $8.50, or maybe $8. But I had put one of the shirts on, and then put the others over my shoulder, and I'm walking along with my two buddies. We're going to get picked up by his mom, and some dude comes running right past me and snags them all. So I had to get my mom to pay for all the shirts that got stolen. There was like 3 or 4. And last, you brought up Triumph, and I'm so glad you brought up Triumph, because what a fucking band, man. What a band. Rick Emmett, God, what a, him and Alex. Frank Marino's another huge one. Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush.
Fucking shit, Jeff.
Massive. Frank's a buddy of mine, so it's great.
Shit, you know what, man? The generations that don't hear it and haven't been exposed to it, they're missing. But I mean, if you're lucky enough to go back, find it, and educate yourself with it, it's priceless how fucking badly you love it, and you never let go. And you always find it sometime in your daily listen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It always comes up,
man.
no matter what.
I wouldn't say I pull Rush out all the time, but when I do, it's like, man, it's like a nice warm blanket.
It's like a warm blanket.
I love every
you sit back I can turn on some. This is just Rush and just spin some shit for a while for sure.
But real fast on Triumph. So I had tickets to see them with UFO opening in 1980. 1980. This would have been my third show after Rush.
Yes.
I mouthed off to my mom from down the street. We lived in a cul-de-sac down in Houston. I mouthed off to her, being cool guy in front of a couple older chicks that were there. I'm like, yeah, these girls are 15. I'm 13. I'm going to be cool and use the F word at my mom. My mom comes running down. My mom comes running down the street, grabs me by my hair, yanks me back, and tears my ticket up. And I never got to see Triumph. Never got to see Triumph ever. I got to see Rick solo and got to meet him. And that I told him that story, and he's like, "You should have been nicer to your mom." I'm like, "Yeah, that day I should have. You're right."
As I'm sure you, I bet you definitely missed a fucking amazing show. I bet you Eddie money.
Oh my God, that was Progressions of Power. They were at their apex, man. You know, they were coming right up on. Next year would have been, I guess, 82 would have been Allied Forces, which would have been the big show.
They were fucking. They were
never got to
super
see
deep
them.
at that point. They were doing simulcasts, and I was able to watch between them and Chilliwack. I seen all these incredible bands, and even Saga back in the mid, like the early 80s. I got to see all those fucking bands and simulcasts. My dad used to just, you know, what we have 10 channels back then. So like a local channel here called City TV. They used to simulcast shows, and they used to simulcast it through one of the FM stations here. And my dad used to go, "Watch! I'm gonna turn on this show, and it's gonna be in stereo, and you can watch it." And I must have watched probably about half a dozen shows that way, and was marveled at the skill level, the sound. I'm like, "Man, these guys are perfect. I can't believe how good you can play live."
Amazing. I mean, I would say of my top 5 bands, 3 of them are Canadian bands. And I'll go to my grave with those CDs and stuff. Hey, real quick, I want to run through some stuff here, some comments real quick. So Harry D asks, how long is your band? How long has it been going? Where are the music platforms I can recommend to my friends? I think they would like them. Harry, I do have links in the description for their Facebook. I didn't put do you guys have a Bandcamp or no?
Yes, we have one now.
All right, I'll put that on there, and of course Spotify would think, right?
We have all the streaming sites, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, everything. If you go looking for it now, you'll find this record and the back catalog. It's just there waiting for everybody to check it out.
And you've been in the band since 85?
85 to 90, and then I was out until 2006. So we've been full on 2006. So I'm coming up on almost 20 plus years now since I've been back.
And the origins of the band was 83?
Yes.
With the other 3 guys, right? The other 3 guys are all
mostly Joe and Rob at the beginning. Scott came in a little bit later in 84, and then I came in 85.
Okay, my buddy Dennis here. We might end up doing a Sacrifice deep dive coming up here, but where'd he go? There he is. He says Triumph. He knows Triumph. He's my buddy. We did a Triumph deep dive, man. Real quick here, as a Canadian, I'm slightly embarrassed. I haven't heard of Sacrifice. If they're from Vancouver area, I'm even more embarrassed. No, you're okay there.
No.
The Canadian part you fucked up on, Tim, but the other part you're okay on because they're a Scarborough, Toronto band.
Yeah, we're a Toronto band. Originate out of Scarborough, Ontario, Vancouver, and Detroit. That's where my bass player lives, and he's lived in Vancouver for a long time. And Joe's lived in Detroit just as long. So both guys have built careers in both cities, and just like me and Rob,
Tim's a fellow.
Just lived here in TO all these years.
Yeah, Tim is a fellow Canuck. That's why he was saying that. So, and then my buddy Dennis says again, Saga rules. He also said the new Sacrifice rips, as do all the records. No bad records. Cheers, dude. I have a feeling he's going to be bringing Sacrifice up in our next. We do this series called Forgotten Metal Gems, and we go back and we take the 80s and the early 90s albums of bands that we feel need to have more exposure. And no offense, I got my fan blowing because it's about 80
Oh,
degrees
no, it's
in my
all
room
right.
here. But yeah, so the new album came out on Friday. I did put some links in there, but I'm going to double check that I put the right links because you did do a limited, I believe, a limited vinyl press, right?
Yes, this time around.
Okay, and CDs, you can get CDs, right?
Yes.
Hard copies,
CDs,
right?
tapes, digital
Tapes
downloads,
too.
all that stuff. So
Okay, I'll make
we'll
sure
see
I
how
put
the
your Bandcamp.
first wave goes over the next 2-3 months, and if it
Sure.
garners enough attention, then yeah, we'll definitely put out more product for sure.
Well, okay, so the last question then is, assuming that it sounds like it's getting good press. And by the way, I'm going to link my buddy Marty from Metallurgy. I can never say that word right. Heavy Metallurgy. They did a review of it, I think 2 or 3 days ago. Marty did. He's an old Sacrifice fan, so he goes back to the beginning. He's our age, little younger than us, but he was, I don't know, 15 when he was buying that stuff. So I will link that just so people can access that. But assuming that that so far so good, which it sounds like you're getting really good marks all around. What's the plans going forward? Is there anything big? Is there any possibility of doing a tour like a package tour, or is
Shit,
that? I mean,
man.
is it one of those?
If
Yeah.
I said yes to any of that shit, I'd probably get my ass kicked. But
Oh, the
yeah,
guys
right
would be
now
like,
we're gonna put it out. We got a show planned in Vancouver. We got to play a local show, man. We haven't played in Toronto since 16, and they
wow.
will absolutely fucking burn us to the ground, man, if we don't play a show here. So we got something planned up later in the year for that stuff. And whatever comes our way, we're hoping that it does set up more dates for us, gets us more shows, and gives us an opportunity to play more places.
Two festivals that I think you guys would really fit in really well at would be Hell's Heroes down in Houston. That's a fly-in,
Yeah,
2-day deal. Really good. That's coming up. I was gonna go. I got my buddies Crimson Glory on the rejuvenated Crimson Glory, which you could see back here. Another one of my top 5 albums.
Florida band, isn't it?
Florida, yeah.
I
Sarasota area, Tampa area, yeah. One of my favorite. That album right there, just a fucking masterpiece. But I'm not going to be able to make it, so I am going to plan to go to MDF this year. But another one that I was thinking that you guys would be great at, and I'm going to it here in a couple of weeks down in Philly, would be the Decibel Fest. And they did stream your album, or they were streaming your album before it was released. And Albert, he's a champion for all things thrash and good metal. So maybe 26, that would be something that, that's again a flying Friday, Saturday. You don't have to do.
No problem, man. You send everybody our way, and we'll be more than happy to take a look
I'll
at
talk to
everything
Albert.
that everybody has offered to us for sure.
Yeah, I'll talk to Albert. I'll be seeing him in a couple of weeks. I know him pretty well, not like super well, but he knows who I am. So we'll get together and I'll say, hey, you got to get in touch with Gus and the guys. So, but listen, Gus, thank you so much. Very sorry for all that stress.
Oh, no worries, Jeff, man. Absolute pleasure, man.
I was only supposed to keep you for 30 minutes. Dave's going to be pissed at me. Sorry, Dave. We had a lot of stress getting this going.
No problem.
And then we connected and talked. So have a good night. Thank your wife. I'm assuming that was your wife or your girlfriend there? Your wife? Yeah. I heard you.
It's funny. She walks in the room and all of a sudden I can fucking hear you. It's like, oh, see that? She's like a white light for me sometimes.
That's probably what it is. She's the bastion of goodwill. That's what it is.
No
so
worries.
thank her for walking in. And again, sorry for all the trouble.
Hey, no problem.
I'll send you, since I have your email address, I'll send you the link to this if you want to post it.
Absolutely.
And on your socials, go for it,
those
man.
Guys are more than happy to post everything to the pages. So we'll take care.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Absolute fucking pleasure, man.
You betcha, brother. Have a good night.
Take it easy, buddy.
All right, see ya.